Welcome back to Resident Evil: The Complete Story. I know this is a long time coming, and I know a lot of you have been asking for this for a while. Well, it's time for us to close out the Resident Evil story for now. And then we'll keep you up to date with Resident Evil 7 as news gets released. Thank you all for watching this entire series, and thank you for dealing with all the changes that we've gone through, things such as evil voice, normal voice, somewhere in the middle voice. Doing this series actually hurt my throat overall, so let's end this with a bang. Resident Evil 6 further divided fans of 5, as it almost entirely became about set pieces, quick-time events, and actually followed 3 different adventures and 7 heroes. Did you enjoy this game or hate it? If you liked it, which story did you enjoy the most? As usual, this is from the wiki and from us actually playing the games. Beginning on December 24th, 2012, Jake Mueller, a mercenary of the Slavic Liberation Army and the son of Albert Wesker, flees from the authorities during a bioterrorist attack. Everyone around him is changing into zombies, but he is shocked by a surprise guest. Sherry Birkin has become an agent of the Division of Security Operations and has arrived to find Jake. It is believed that his blood can be used for antibodies against the newly developed C virus. Together, they team up to escape from the crumbling area. All the while during this, Chris Redfield and his new team, which includes second player Pierre Nevins, fight off the rebels in this area that are currently infected with the C virus. Their fight eventually takes them to a massive oversized BOW named Ogremans. They seem to be winning when they're attacked by a new Umbrella agent calling herself Ada Wong. She kills off most of the BSAA agents and changes them using the C virus, though Chris and Piers are spared. Due to losing so many people, Chris, suffering from post-traumatic amnesia, pushes himself into a self-imposed exile. Jake and Sherry are trying to escape from this very area, but their escape is stopped by what I like to call the evil dentist BOW. He eventually chases them to the nearby snow-capped mountains. They do their best to survive in the mountains, but they find themselves captured by Ada Wong. Almost 6 months later, the US president reveals the truth about what happened in Raccoon City all those years ago and at the beginning of our entire series. He hopes that by revealing everything and how it affected Umbrella, he could curb the recent rise in bioterrorism acts. Standing by his side is Leon Kennedy and Helena Harper. But the location where they're going to announce this press conference falls under attack to its own bioterrorism attack. All of the president's personal escort appears to have been moved away by Helena. And with that, the US president succumbs to the virus, and Leon is forced to kill the president before he can feed on Helena. Leon's new friend Helena leads Leon to the local cathedral during the zombie attack to rescue her sister Deborah. By the time they get there, Deborah is already infected with the C virus, forcing Helena to kill her. So, she basically caused the president's death and had to kill her own sister. But it gets even more interesting, my dear listeners. While Helena, our new character that no one cared about, is dealing with that, Leon actually finds a video that reads, "Happy birthday, Ada Wong." When viewed, it depicts a confusing birth of a woman who looks just like Ada Wong. After killing Deborah and fleeing the area, both Leon and Helena witness the firebombing of the Tall Oaks area that they were just in. With Helena feeling guilty over everything that just happened, her and Leon track down Simmons, the man who is actually responsible for moving the president's detail away so that he could launch the bioterrorism attack, and he's also conveniently a high-ranking official in the Division of Security Operations. Helena and Leon fake their deaths and they give chase to him. Meanwhile, Jake and Sherry escape their 6-month captivity and begin to find a way out of the research facility that they are being held in. For the record, their escape ends in a crazy awesome motorcycle escape scene. Elsewhere, Chris has spent the last 6 months living in an Eastern European area as a drunk in a local bar. He funded his hotel and bar tab through some bodyguard work, but it took Piers and the BSAA to track him down and bring him back to work. Chris, Pier, and their new team are dropped into another Neo-Umbrella bioterrorism attack. Their mission is to raid a building in the Ace of Spades, where they are hoping to rescue a few captured UN members. Once Chris and Piers rescue the hostages, they were greeted with a problem though. The BSAA decided to firebomb the entire area, and Chris and Piers barely made it out alive. But this jogged Chris's memory of the entire loss of his previous team. He vowed to have his revenge on Ada Wong. Chris and Piers soon ran into Jake and Sherry, who had gone missing since Adonia. But as we all know, they were actually captured by Ada Wong. Piers suggested that they help them out, but Chris coldly told Piers that they had a mission and pulled Piers away. Chris and Piers continued with their team until they were pinned down by a massive snake BOW. The BOW managed to kill most of their squad off, leaving only Chris, Piers, and a man named Marco. They seemed to be getting away, and they were going to be okay, until Ada Wong showed up again, and she shot Marco with the C-Virus. Marco quickly mutated into another massive BOW, forcing Chris and Piers to put him down like a dog. Chris was expressing his frustration when Piers told him that he could have prevented all of this if Chris wasn't so focused on his vengeance. Piers accused Chris of forgetting the mission and said he felt sorry for all the men who believed in Chris. Chris snapped and began to throw punches at Piers, but Piers took him to the ground, and the two men grudgingly moved on. While they continued onward though, Jake and Sherry headed off to meet her boss in China, who happens to be Simmons, the man who moved the president's detail away and let Helena take the blame. While heading off to meet with him though, they run into a few more BOWs, and eventually they see a plane crashing in the distance that Sherry realizes is an American plane. They head off to see if everyone's okay and run into Leon and Helena, who were traveling to China to track down Simmons, who they discovered had set up Helena. Alright, it's confusing right now, so let me help you sort this out. Simmons is the bad guy, he framed Helena and launched the bioterrorism attacks, but Sherry is working for him, not realizing that he's a bad guy. Leon, Helena, Sherry, and Jake all plan to work together, but are separated by another BOW. Sherry yells to Leon where they were supposed to meet with Simmons and leaves. She hopes that Leon heard her, and luckily Leon did hear her, so both groups continue on. Leon and Helena continue towards their goal, but they think they see Ada, and they chase after her only to find her cornered by Chris and Piers. Why do they have her cornered? Well, they both blame Ada for killing off both of Chris's teams. Chris has had enough of Ada and is about to kill her when Leon jumps in and knocks the rifle out of his hands. The two men struggle, arguing that Ada killed all of Chris's men, but Leon needed her as a key witness against Simmons, since Simmons killed billions, while Chris's men were only a few in comparison. They kept fighting until Ada managed to set off a flash bomb and escapes. Chris chased after her with no intention of harming her, since, Leon had convinced him that Leon was going to prosecute her. Leon and Helena continue on to find Simmons. They do manage to find him while on a speeding train, but what they do find isn't Simmons any longer, as he's been infected with the C-Virus. They do a battle with a giant mutated Simmons, and eventually Helena takes the final shot, killing Simmons and ending this. Or does she? While Leon and Helena are stopping Simmons, Chris and Piers cornered Ada again. They find out from Ada that her plan is to launch missiles containing the C-Virus at a nearby Chinese village. The goal is to recreate the Raccoon City incident. But in another shocking plot twist, before anything more can be revealed, one of Simmons' henchmen shoots Ada in the chest, killing her as she stumbles and falls to her death. With that, Chris and Piers tried to stop the missiles from going off. But did they? The train holding Leon and Helena explodes and crash lands at a nearby beach, where the BSAA are escorting the civilians away before they can become infected from these potential C-Virus infected bombs. It is then that it dawns on Leon from seeing the files on Jake. Jake, the guy that Sherry is escorting, is the cure for the C-Virus due to what is in his bloodstream. Just as Leon realizes this, the missiles are launched at the city and hit a nearby tower, causing the entire city to become blanketed with the C-Virus. Panicking, trying to think of how he can find and save Sherry and Jake, Chris and Piers fly over and head dawns on Leon to contact them. Leon informs them that he received intel that Sherry and Jake are being held in an underwater Neo-Umbrella facility, and Jake's antibodies can help cure the C-Virus. Chris asks Leon how this is possible, and Leon explains that Jake is actually Albert Wesker's illegitimate son. On that note, Chris flies to save Jake and Sherry, and Leon and Helena stay to see if they can help the city. As Chris and Piers get to the facility, Chris decides that he's going to be retiring from active duty soon after this last mission. But why do Jake and Sherry need saving at all? Let's find out. Back when Jake and Sherry met with Leon and told him where Simmons was, they also went to find Simmons, and they found him before Leon and Helena. After a rather big reveal that Simmons was in fact the villain behind everything, he captured both Sherry and Jake and had them carted off to the underwater Neo-Umbrella facility. Chris and Piers arrived and opened the doors to Jake and Sherry's cell, and after both groups traveled through the facility, they all met up. Chris reveals to Jake that he is in fact the one who killed Albert Wesker, Jake's father. Jake is furious that his horrible life was this way because he didn't have an evil villain father to raise him, and he blamed Chris for not becoming an evil villain himself. Okay, he blamed Chris for killing his father, but I added the extra parts, because why would you give a crap about Albert Wesker being dead? Whatever. The two men fawn, and knowing that there are more important things to deal with, Jake said that they would deal with this later. The ultimate BOW arrives and tries to kill all four of them. It doesn't look good, but Chris and Pierce say that they're going to stay behind and hold this back so that Sherry can get Jake's antibodies to the city to save everybody. But before they get away, Jake and Sherry once again have to fight their own BOW. It ends with Jake sending the monster into the lava below and Sherry and him getting away. They go off to save the city, leaving Chris and Piers to deal with their own ultimate BOW. It seems hopeless for Chris and Piers, but Piers injects himself with the C-Virus enhanced strain that they got from Ada earlier. He is now able to shoot lightning from his hands, and he defeats the ultimate BOW. You heard me right, folks. Piers can now shoot lightning from his hands. Knowing that he was eventually going to change into an evil lightning-shooting monster, Piers launched Chris off into an escape pod and stayed behind in the conveniently self-destructing facility. During all of this, Leon and Helena are trying to help the BSAA deal with the city crumbling all around them when Leon manages to catch a glimpse of Ada Wong. Yes, the Ada Wong. We're just going to reveal this part because honestly, this story got so confusing at this point that I don't even remember where it was actually revealed. The Ada Wong that Chris and Piers killed off was actually a doppelganger, and Leon and Helena are chasing the real Ada Wong. They chase her to the rooftop of a nearby building where they see her fighting Simmons. That's right, it turns out that he survived the train wreck and has mutated even further. The three of them fight off the mutated Simmons until he is defeated, and Ada bids farewell to Leon and flees off to go to her helicopter again. But as Leon chases her to the helicopter, he learns that Simmons is still not dead! They have one final fight and make it to Ada's helicopter, but they don't see Ada. Inside of her helicopter, though, they find her rocket launcher, and Leon uses it to finally defeat Simmons for good. Relieved, Leon and Helena search the helicopter to find a disc containing all the evidence against Simmons. With that, they get a phone call stating that a cure has been found in Jake's antibodies and they can cure the C-Virus. That's it, folks. In what is honestly the most confusing single Resident Evil game to date, everything is answered. Kind of. A lot of cliffhangers, but hey, whatever. Leon and Helena each went back to their respected units, returning to active duty. With the evidence, Helena was not charged for anything, and it was all blamed on Simmons. Leon went back to just being awesome. Chris returned to the BSAA as a captain to honor Piers' memories. Sherry went back to work, saving the day. While Jake, the man who gave us the cure, went off to fighting more BOWs and saving the day as a mercenary. And what about Ada? Well, it turns out that a woman named Carla was posing as Ada Wong so that she could set off hell on earth in her name. But Ada managed to stop Carla and destroy the lab where they made Carla look like Ada and all of their C-Virus research was being kept. That's it, folks. Resident Evil 6 is in the bag and we're moving on to the bonus episodes. Are there any particular episodes that you guys want us to cover? We'll also keep you up to date on Resident Evil 7 as the news is released. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus to stay up to date on everything. And go over to our Let's Play channel, because we do Let's Plays. Everybody does Let's Plays, but our Let's Plays are better than everybody else's Let's Plays. Okay, that's an empty claim. I really can't back that up myself. Why don't you go over there and tell us if you think they are?